Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm NoCode, and you're watching TheNoCodeTech. And today, I'm going to try to solder up the Learn to Solder Hue 1.0 kit. So, fun times. Alright, last video I did the Blink version 1.1, which is quite simple. It just blinks and you push the buttons. And I had a blast and I really enjoyed it. So let's do the Hue. And much the same as the previous one, we have a lovely letter inside. And we have our bag. All the components we need. We got our card listing out the components. Instructions are online. Looks like that when we're done. We got a battery, the printed circuit board itself, which is, I think, a bit smaller than the previous one. And we got our component bag. And let's make sure we have everything. Got the PCB, the battery, we have a RGB LED, which I've never seen an LED look like a squid before, but hey, that's cool. 3 resistors, 3 potentiometers, a switch, and a battery holder. So, and we've got some instructions online here. Upside down, but hey, it'll work. Let us begin. Okay, first things first. We have our little Hello Kitty cup. We're going to add some water to our sponge. Got our soldering iron at 350 degrees Celsius. Got some solder wick in case I make a mistake. We got the little pokey pokey cleanie and little water thing. So we got all of our parts, we know that. We know what tools we need. Still don't have any cutters, safety squints, I got interesting stuff. So step number 1 is the resistors. So let's pull the paper off. And I was curious. I still am curious. So I got my voltmeter. And wondering what these value of these resistors are. So 200 ohms, 200 ohms, and 199.6. So hey, that's cool. Now I know. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a bit of solder on my soldering iron, to make sure that it's up to temperature and the tip is good to go and everything's fine. It looks like it is. A pokey pokey and the scrubby spongy thing. So I'm just going to take the resistor, give it a bend here, give it a bend there. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's good enough. And then just stick it through the holes. Give it a wee bend out to hold it in place. And there you go. I'm going to put the other 2 in. Okay, now that we got our 3 resistors in, we'll flip it over and start soldering. Alright, so I got my solder in my right, or my soldering iron in my right hand, solder in the left hand. And if I remember correctly, we just set that there. Give it a moment to heat up. Apply some solder. That should be good. Here we go. There we go. I think I wasn't leaving the soldering iron on the lead in the board long enough to heat it up. And there we go. We got 2 done. Take a look. Ah, frack, that's hot. You gotta give it time to cool down, man. Otherwise it'll burn you. So those two look all right. Don't see any peaks flying off at weird angles or any of the solder pads still exposed. And pro tip that I just learned, the leads can get pretty toasty, and that's what actually burned me. So, ouch. Just gonna set that there for a moment to heat up. Add some solder. Not quite enough. That looks pretty good. The more you do this, the easier it gets. Or at least that's what I found. No. All right, once again, we've got entirely the wrong type of scissors, but if it passes any indication of the future, this should in theory work, so. Okay, so once again, people far smarter than me with far more experience advise to keep these little leads that just snip off, because you might need them one day for whatever project you're doing, and it's good to have them around. So I kept some from the last one. I'm gonna keep some from this one, with the exception of the one that went way the heck over yonder onto the floor. We got our 3 resistors in. And check our directions for our step next. The potentiometers. These I'm actually gonna maybe read a bit on, because I don't want to mess that up. 3 spots for potentiometers and 3 potentiometers. Instructions say that they go on in the holes like that. Don't worry guys, I have an idea. I can use this to hold them, flip them, and then slide. I'm smart. Much the same as before. You're gonna add a little bit of heat to it. Bring it up to temp. Add the solder. And that was a half of it. Do that side. There we go. And there's one. So I'm trying very carefully to prevent getting solder from this one onto that one, and thus creating an electrical connection between the two, oftentimes referred to as a solder bridge. It's not a good thing to do, because then you have to undo it, which is, what the heck, I'm told not always the easiest thing to do. I've never done that, but heck, this is only my 2nd soldering kit, so I'm sure in time I will make that mistake. Is that one fully covered? I think there's a little bit of soldering pad still showing, but I'm going to say it's okay. Another thing of note is I'm going to go from like the first one here, then to here, then to there, instead of 1, 2, 3 in a row. Simply in an effort to try not to heat up the board too much, as PCBs, or printed circuit boards, are designed to withstand some amount of heat. I mean, we do solder on them, right? But overheating them is a possibility and could have negative effects. Don't ask me what they are. I haven't the slightest idea, but I know it's bad. So. I can't say, because I'm old in my eyes. It's looking like I've got quite a bit of extra solder on my tip. So I'm just gonna give it a quick clean. Make sure she's nice and shiny. Shiny! It's late, guys. It's really late. riveting stuff, isn't it? Are you not entertained? They look pretty good. Don't see any bridges. If there was, I would name it Jeff. What is even this? What is this? Why is this? Stop it. Dynamic lock. What is it? Battery holder. Let's do that. This is a battery holder. This side here is the side that usually goes towards the outside of the board, which I'm looking at the directions over here to my left, and it does. So we're just going to set that in there. So with that done, our next step is the switch. We got the on-off switch. That do matter, but this one doesn't. So I'm gonna set that down right there. Alright, step next is the RGB LED. So we have one pin, much like a normal LED, one pin that is significantly longer than the rest. The longest pin must be inserted into the hole marked with a dash on the printed circuit board. And remembering that the longest pin goes into the hole marked with the dash, and I'm hoping that this is perfectly spaced, and I can just absolutely not. I'm gonna have to open it up a bit. Maybe that'll work. Or not. Okay, I got some in. Oh, almost. Come on. Aha! Look at that. I think my soldering iron is loose. So when I tap something, it moves. I think the little screw up there is loose, but tell you what, I ain't touching it. No siree. It shouldn't be. I think that's loose, guys. I think that's loose, and I'm scared to touch it. I'm scared. Don't be scared. I downshift to third while I flip you the bird. So let's take a closer look. No solder bridges. Short circuiting with metallic scissors. That didn't work at all. A little bit. There we go. Alright. So the back end of it is a bit pokey, to say the least, but she works. Off, on, turn down green, turn down blue, turn up red. Potentiometers don't spin very well, but you know what? Couple of bucks. You get them online. They also have them on their website. Once again, that was the Hue 1.0 in a rectangle shape. There's a Hue 2.0 in that shape, and that's the next one. So we've got 2 kits done so far. Always when you start out, make sure your soldering iron is tight. Right there. That's about all there is today. I want to thank you so very much for watching. It is the season, so Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and holidays and all that jazz. Thanks for watching, and you have a very wonderful day. Bye-bye.